Let's talk about Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts because this team has amazing potential in the AFC South, but it comes down to one man, Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was a first-round pick in last year's draft class, and he had a solid rookie season. Now, he only played in 4 games. He didn't even really play in those full 4 games because he was knocked out of one of the games against the Houston Texans with a concussion. In the last game against the Tennessee Titans, he hurt his shoulder and he was out for the rest of the year. But he did look solid. The accuracy was hit or miss. But when it was hitting, he looked very good and he looked very dominant on the field. He had 3 passing touchdowns to 1 interception. And he also had 25 carries for 136 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. The biggest thing with Anthony Richardson is going to be able to stay healthy at this level and taking care of the football. I do believe that he will be a very successful quarterback in this system with Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen is a brilliant offensive mind. They almost made the NFL playoffs this season as well. And Gardner Minshew was their starting quarterback for the majority of the season. No offense to Gardner Minshew, but he's a backup quarterback at best. And the fact that you were almost able to make the NFL playoffs with him speaks to the credit of the coaching staff and the talent with the Indianapolis Colts. And like I mentioned, not trying to take anything away from Gardner Minshew because he looked solid. 15 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Aren't the best numbers, but he had a lot of solid games this season with the Indianapolis Colts. But back to Shane Steichen, was a great offensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's part of the reason to why he got this job. Jalen Hurts had his best season underneath Shane Steichen, and a lot of people compare Anthony Richardson to Jalen Hurts. I think that he could be a better passer than Jalen Hurts at the highest level. We will see, but it just comes down to the development of Anthony Richardson. If he is a bust, this team won't see that much success like how they haven't seen over the last couple of years because they've been basically rolling the dice at the quarterback position with guys like Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett. And part of that reason was because Andrew Luck retired. But I do believe that Anthony Richardson will be a very good quarterback. It just comes down to his health and the play calling of Shane Steichen. And can they protect Anthony Richardson? And that last season underneath Frank Reich, we saw the offensive line regress. This season, the offensive line went back to looking like a true dominant force like how they was a couple of seasons ago. And they have good talent on the offensive line. Quentin Nelson is one of the better offensive linemen in the NFL. He is very good at that guard position. The same with Braden Smith at the right tackle position. I like Bernard Raymond at the left tackle position. And they went in and they drafted some offensive linemen as well. But the one thing that I do want to talk about the Indianapolis Colts on the offensive end was going out there and getting A.D. Mitchell and pairing him up with Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. just got a contract extension for a very good reason. 109 receptions for 1,152 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. A very good possession wide receiver. He can go out there certain times and take the top off of the defense, but he is not known for doing that. He is known for getting you yardage 12 to 15 yards in between the middle of the field and working in the intermediate routes. And you had a very good slot wide receiver as well in Josh Downs. Look, when you're in a rookie class with guys like Puka Nacua and Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, you're not going to get a lot of love. But when you look at Josh Downs on the season, very good productive wide receiver, 68 receptions for 771 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. He was very good, but you had to bring in another option because Alec Pierce was not able to take his game up to the next level. Alec Pierce on the season was solid, 514 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. But if you have the chance to get a guy like A.D. Mitchell from Texas, you do that. To me, he can be that George Pickens type of wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Not only do you now have depth at the wide receiving spot if one of those guys go down, but you bring in another playmaker to come in and help out Anthony Richardson because you can already run the football with Jonathan Taylor when he is fully healthy. I'll get more into Jonathan Taylor in a couple of seconds. But getting A.D. Mitchell in the second round, that's a steal. To me, he should have been a first round pick. He had a lot of questions about how he did in interviews and things like that. And Chris Ballard was upset with how people were judging him. Look, at the end of the day, the NFL loss is the Indianapolis Colts gain. I think this was a great pick, and it was one of the better picks in the NFL draft, especially if he can't go out there and he can't pan out. He's an underrated route runner, has great hands, and he's just a smooth playmaker. I expect for him to make plays on day one with the Indianapolis Colts and take some pressure off of guys like Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. as well. Now, when you talk about Jonathan Taylor, over the last couple of years, he struggled to stay healthy. but when he has been healthy, he's been an amazing running back. This team did just lose Zach Moss to the Cincinnati Bengals. On the season, 741 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 4.4 yards a carry. Very good running back to have. Can he stay healthy? That's what you worry about. And when a running back starts to deal with injuries, you do become concerned with that. I think as long as he can stay on the field, he's obviously going to be one of the better running backs in the AFC. But you also have Trey Sermon, who came in when he went down and when Zach Moss went down against the Steelers, and they ran the football very well. Trey Sermon is not a true bell cow running back. He's not going to be a guy that you want to get the football to like Jonathan Taylor, but he could come in for a couple of games and take the load off of Jonathan Taylor. And he could just come in for a few games as well, just take the pressure off of Jonathan Taylor if you want to go in and run a 2-back system. So I'm not worried about the running back position at all, especially the offensive line could go out there and do their thing. And like I mentioned before, Anthony Richardson, very good running quarterback as well. Explosive. He's an athlete playing quarterback right now. But if you give him enough time, he could be one of the better rushing quarterbacks in the NFL if it could pan out that way. And you have Joe Flacco as a backup. Joe Flacco just helped the Cleveland Browns get to the NFL playoffs. Not a bad backup to have with the Indianapolis Colts either. Now, when you look at the defense, their defense is very good on getting pass rush. I'm worried about their secondary, but they have some young players that can develop to the next level. On the back half of the season, the secondary did play better, especially when Juju Brents got fully healthy. Juju Brents is a solid cornerback. I think that he can be a true number 1 cornerback. Just right now, he is not. In the first round, they selected another edge rusher. A couple of years ago, they selected the edge rusher in Kwity Paye. He's been solid with the Indianapolis Colts. Before I get into Kwity Paye, I want to talk about Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA. They used him at UCLA the same way that Wisconsin used TJ Watt. This is a guy that can flip back into coverage and can also put pressure on the quarterback, but he is known for putting pressure on the quarterback. He had 26% of his pass rushes. They were a win at the line of scrimmage. That's a good portion of your pass rushing of a win percentage in college, especially for UCLA. He had 13 sacks on the season. Very good pass rusher. Has dealt with injuries in the past. He dealt with a neck injury. He had to retire, but he came back. It reminds me a lot of Jalen Phillips. He retired in college, came back for his last season in college, and went to the Miami Dolphins. Very good pass rusher. I'm looking at Laiatu Latu. He doesn't have to come in right now, and he doesn't have to start because you have Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye, very good defensive lineman. And a lot of people question this pick as well. A couple of years ago, he was seen as a project, but 8.5 sacks on the season, 2 forced fumbles, had a high pressure rate of getting to the quarterback. The same with Sepson Abuquam as well. 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles on the season. DeForest Buckner, one of the better defensive tackles, 8 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. They're trying to win at the line of scrimmage, especially in this division, dealing with quarterbacks like CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, and Will Levis. You're going to want to go out there and win at the line of scrimmage. And that's what this defensive line can do right now. They're young, they're athletic, and they're versatile, and they can go out there and put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback. And I see what the Indianapolis Colts are trying to do. Instead of selecting a cornerback in the first round, they say, you know what? We can go out there and continue to get defensive pressure and just have a good rotation of defensive linemen, and then it can help out our secondary because we've seen this in the past. Some of the average secondaries have been benefited a lot by just having a great pass rush to where you just get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They're going to have to make quick decisions with the football. Some of them deal with pressure better than others. You look at a guy like CJ Stroud, it gets rid of the football very quickly. But if you can go out there and meet him at the point of attack and can run that press man coverage and you trust in your defensive line getting to a guy like CJ, it could put your defense into a better situation to where you can just deal with some 3 and outs here and there. So I like what they're doing right now. Build through the trenches and it helps out your secondary as a whole. And their linebackers are very good. Zaire Franklin is a tackle machine and was phenomenal all season long. This man had 107 solo tackles. That was the second most in the NFL, 1.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, just a tackle machine. And you have EJ Speed as well, 3 forced fumbles, 1 sack, 78 solo tackles. So they do not miss Shaq Leonard at all because Zaire Franklin was able to come in and basically take over that role. Not going to go back there and blitz the quarterback as much, but very good tackling linebacker. You also have Kenny Moore II at the cornerback position. He had 3 interceptions on the season, 6 pass deflections. I think that he'll be a solid corner moving forward with the Indianapolis Colts for sure. But I like what the Colts are doing. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, it just comes out to Anthony Richardson. Can he develop to that next level? If he can, you're going to be in a great situation, because this is the first time in a very long time that the Colts may have a mainstay at that quarterback spot, and it's something that they desperately need. It's a tough division because the Houston Texans, they're tough. The Jacksonville Jaguars are tough as well. The Tennessee Titans, they're rebuilding right now, but they're putting all the right pieces around Will Levis. And the Indianapolis Colts are also a tough team as well on paper. It just comes down to the health of Anthony Richardson and the development as well. I love their coaching staff, the defensive coordinator, and you know I love Shane Steichen with the work he was able to do in the past. He also helped out Justin Herbert in the past as well, so I'm not worried about the play calls. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Indianapolis Colts, and do you guys believe that they can make some actual noise in the AFC South? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.